Wow, good morning, lovely people. Good morning, everyone. How is everybody doing this morning? This is Wednesday, July 5th. The year is running along. I hope everybody is having a fantastic morning. Actually, um, wow. Last night we had a great time. We had a great time last night. For those of you who were in the live last night, I hope you enjoyed being with me last night. Yeah, last night we went to the fireworks together. Yeah, we get a we got a copyright notification, but we expected that. Not a strike, but copyright, because of course, yes, there were the music playing in the background and all that good stuff. Yeah. So so um so yeah, they sent me the notification that someone claimed the music that was in there, and I perfectly understand. But I have discovered, for those of you who may have come across getting copyright, not strikes now, but when you get like somebody claiming the music that is in your video or in your live, you can always fix it, right? You can always fix it. It's easy to fix. I didn't know before, and I had even paid somebody to fix like two things. That was way back when I had no clue. I still have no clue, but I think I have the C and the L right now. I'm just missing the U and the E. But yeah, you can just go in your studio, but you have to do it on your computer and go on your studio, pick the video that has the claim on it, and YouTube is going to ask you what action you want. You click on the action. It's going to give you some options of music to change, and it will show you the parts that are claimed in your video. It will say from 1.28 minute to 1.36, and you just click on that, select a music and click apply. It's going to take a while, so you have to not be using the computer at that time and just leave it. And the music that you select will replace every part of your video that is claimed. So I will just do that to that video I made last night, to that live I did last night, and we will be good. Even though no, me not getting no money for it, because YouTube claims them take away my money. But that is okay. We are still going to go. We are still going to go on with or without monetization. Not now stop with. Just and believe me, not now stop with. And another thing, I like to give good news. To me, good news is just as good as bad news. Because in everything I can find something to laugh about. I can find something to smile about. It might be that I'm crazy, and it might be that it is my way of coping, but whether or not, it is my way. So remember, I told you all yesterday that the live we had on Monday night, where we're talking about the toes and keeping your feet clean and all of that, if you ever suck to, and all them things we were talking about Sunday night. Well, I told you, not Sunday night, was it Monday night? So I told you that yesterday I had gotten a notice from YouTube that said that they had restricted my video, blah blah. It was inappropriate for YouTube, and they want to keep their community safe, and blah 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 blah. So anyway, I had sent an appeal to them yesterday. I was so annoyed. I told them, at this point, you're really getting on my nerves, blocking and restricting without even reading the content, listening to the content. How in the world talking about caring for your feet is endangering the YouTube community? Explain that to me. Well, I woke up this morning and I looked on my phone, and they respond with a lengthy apology, talking about, oh, sometimes they get it wrong and they're sorry if it upsets me, or some shenanigans of language. But anyway, as long as but YouTube gets on my nerves with this foolishness, man. They get on my nerves, you know. Yeah, I just seem like somebody on YouTube is out for me. If I put up ABC, it's restricted. If I put up 1, 2, 3, it's restricted. I want to tell YouTube, kick some rocks and make sure when you kick them, they fly right up in your eyes, because I ain't got time for you and the foolishness. But anywho, good morning to you all, guys. Good morning. Enough of my ranting today. But God, what's up? How are you doing, my dear sister? I know some of the years, so I try to find the live. On YouTube. Okay. So Cad is here. Bless up a nice clean self. Cad, there is also my friend Brother Zell. Brother Zell, I saw a text. I saw a post from you earlier. Happy birthday to P or somebody like that. Well, I did say happy birthday, so happy birthday to to your little Pia. Okay. And my friend Shazaib is here. Shazaib is here as well. And you know how I do when I do. God, when last I post something on your channel. You all know how I do when I do. Whenever I come over here having live, I give back to all my people who come in to support me. I mean, that's how it goes. It's one hand wash the other. As my mother always says, you know, one hand washes the other. You to me and me to you. So when you take time out of your day to get onto your phone and come over here to sit with me and chat with me, yeah, you have my utmost respect. And to that end, I must also share some of me with you. And in that sharing, I give you some watch hours whenever you come over. Whenever you come over to me. So here, my friend Brother Zell, I don't even think there is anything left from Brother Zell's channel that I haven't run. Let me take a look here. All right. Brother Zell, let me see your playlist here. Sarina Season, Brother Zell. Okay. All right, so since you are here today, we are going to run this one, the first season of Sarima. Now, you are not going to hear it, and you're not going to see me comment on it, Brother Zell. You will not see me comment because I am on my live, but on another of my devices, you will be running. You will be running on another of my devices, okay? Next person is my friend Shazaib. My friend Shazaib is here. Let me hold on a second, guys. I know it's taking out a little bit of time out of the reading, but I gotta make time for my supporters as my supporters make time for me. I gotta make time for them as well. Let me see. Shazaib Lashari. Shazaib Lashari. All right, there you go. All right, there you are. There you are, Shazaib. Where is he? Shazaib. Okay, beautiful. And your channel is growing nicely. That's wonderful. You now have 796 subscribers. That is wonderful. And with this device, that is my other account, I give you another subscriber. And there on your playlist, okay, I've run your playlist already, but I will run it on this other channel. So there you go, Shazaib. So Shazaib is running there, and there is Brother Zell running on the other one. And with that, we will begin today's reading. Now come along with me, guys. We are going to continue the reading of the book of 2 Chronicles. We are currently reading chapter we're going to be reading chapters 7, 8, and 9 today. Chapter 7, 8, and 9 we're going to be reading today. Now, y'all remember, yesterday we didn't read anything, but the day before we read Solomon's prayer. You remember Solomon's prayer? He prayed for the Lord to give him wisdom, to give him knowledge. He prayed, he asked God, he says, God, this house that I am building for you, may this house be a place of refuge, a place for peace, a place for your people to come and pray to you, a place for them to come and offload their worries, their troubles, their tribulations. It's a place even for strangers who have come into Jerusalem. It's a place for strangers to come and pray to you, a place for them to come and find the peace. And he also prayed for the people who are taken away into captivity. He said, if they are taken away from here into captivity in distant lands, and they pray to you, and they ask you for forgiveness for the sins that they have committed, whether it's sins that they knew about or sins that they were unaware of, he asked for forgiveness for them if they would come back to the house of the Lord and pray and ask for forgiveness. So we read about Solomon's prayer to the Lord for his people, and the tabernacle that he is building, that the Lord had said his father David would not be allowed to build, because according to the Bible it says David shed too much blood. So David was denied that golden opportunity of building that tabernacle for the Lord. And so Solomon is the one that is building it. And I wanted to point out something that I find to be rather interesting in the Bible. Do you all notice that the people that are chosen in the Bible and the people that are so revered, if you look at their existence as to how they came into being, a lot of it is circumstances that would have been shunned upon in today's society. Case in point, Solomon. Solomon was the child of Bathsheba and David. Now, remember that David killed Uriah so that he could have Uriah's wife. And then he had kids with that woman. Now, in today's society, if a man took the life of another woman's husband so that he could get the wife, and then they have children together, those children would be shunned throughout eternity in today's society. But not so in the Bible. Solomon was actually a liked and preferred individual to the Lord. Strange, eh? And to compare it to the same time, during those same times, how brutal the times those people were living in. I've read where people have been slain for doing less than what David did. And I'm surprised that David wasn't slain. All he was given was like a slap on the wrist for what he had done to Uriah. That's all he got. And other people were utterly destroyed for very simple things or closely similar behaviors. So talk about the Bible being curry favor. You might say that. You wouldn't be wrong if you said there was curry favor going on in the Bible. You and I could have committed the same sin, but because you were liked by God, quote unquote, because you were liked, you were not punished as badly as I would be. I would be taken to the slaughterhouse, but you would be given a slap on the wrist. You might wonder, was it a race thing? Was it you never know. In today's society, we chalk it down to race. We would chalk it down to race. But anyway, that's what we saw happening in the Bible. Just a little highlight there of my observation from having been reading the Bible. So without further ado, and without me blabbering too much about that, let us continue. God, I'm giving you 50-50. How about that? 50-50 for you, my sister. Okay, guys, so let us start the reading of the book of 2 Chronicles chapter 7. Let's begin. Now when Solomon had made an end of praying, the fire came down from heaven and consumed the burnt offerings and the sacrifices, and the glory of the Lord filled the house. And the priests could not enter into the house of the Lord, because the glory of the Lord had filled the Lord's house. And when all the children of Israel saw how the fire had come down, and the glory of the Lord upon the house, they bowed themselves with their heads to the ground upon the pavement, and worshipped, and praised the Lord, saying, For he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Then the king and all the people offered sacrifices before the Lord. And King Solomon offered a sacrifice of 22,000 oxen. Wow. And 120,000 sheep. So the king and all the people dedicated the house to God. OMG. So in dedicating the tabernacle to God, Solomon offered 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. My God. Then that's sheep and oxen for days. Where I sit down here, so I could look out and I wouldn't see all the oxen and all the sheep. Wow. And the priests waited on their offices, the Levites also with instrument of music of the Lord, which David the king had made to praise the Lord, because his mercy endureth forever, when David praised by their ministry. And the priests sounded trumpets before them, and all Israel stood. Moreover, Solomon hallowed the middle of the court that was before the house of the Lord. For there he offered burnt offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings, and the meat offerings, and the fat. So was that a flaw in the altar that Solomon had built? Was that a flaw? Let's read that again, verse 7. Moreover, Solomon hallowed the middle of the court that was before the house of the Lord. For there he offered burnt offerings, and the fat of the peace offerings, because the brazen altar which Solomon had made was not able to receive the burnt offerings, and the meat offerings, and the fat. So clearly, the altar that Solomon had built, for whatever reason, it wasn't able. But it was made of brass. So I'm not sure why it wasn't able to accommodate the burnt offering. Verse 8 said, Also at the same time, Solomon kept the feast for 7 days, and all Israel with him, a very great congregation, from the entering in of Hamath unto the river of Egypt. Of course, it had to be a great gathering. If you have 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. It has to be a great gathering because we know you are going to eat that. So there has to be enough people to eat all of that. Verse 9, and in the 8th day they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days, and the feast 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry. Hold on, let me see what God say here, so. Meat, God says so like meat endureth forever. Girl, can I tell you? Obviously, the meat endureth forever because my word, I mean, all of this meat, well, these people are going to eat it. That is for sure, God. The people are going to eat the meat. So there is indeed a whole lot of meat. So much oxen. Then I wonder, say, why they, what? I know it was a lot of them. But when Solomon was talking to these people, how they hear him? I don't think many of them even heard what he was saying. So if he stood there and he was ministering to these people, he was a king. So if he was talking to them, if he was talking to these masses of people, there's absolutely no way them could have hear him, because if all these oxen and sheep were there, plus all these people, you can imagine the people them not hear what him say, because his voice couldn't project. I wonder if they had microphone back then. His voice couldn't project to reach all the people, because me that they right here, so, and even 2-3 miles down the road the people them gather. They wouldn't be able to hear a thing. But it was their time, and I'm sure they used some kind of ingenuity to ensure that the people heard, because the people heard whoever the speaker was and what they were saying, because all the time we are hearing about all these great, huge, massive gatherings. And it just came to my mind, like, if it was in today's society, there would be speaker boxes put out in different areas so that everybody could hear what was being said by the speaker. But anywho, welcome into the live, everybody. Thank you all so much for coming. I sincerely appreciate you all. Do not forget to hit that like button and share out the live stream. This is our every morning live stream in which we read the Bible. You all should know by now we are on a quest to read the Bible for ourselves from beginning to end, and we are currently on the book of 2 Chronicles. We are not endorsing any particular religion or any particular denomination. We are into this as neutral can be. All we are doing is the pertinent thing that I think everybody, all humans, should partake in at some time or the other, and that is in reading the Bible. Because after all, the Bible and its contents is very influential in our lives, in every aspect of our lives, in healthcare, in finances, in our spirituality, our identity. All of it can be found in the Bible. So come along with me, guys, and let us continue reading the Bible. All right. We are still reading chapter 7 of the book of 2 Chronicles. Grab your book Bible or your Google Bible and follow along. Let us read verse 10. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry in the heart for the goodness that the Lord had showed unto David and to Solomon and to Israel his people. Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord, and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night, and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer, and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves, and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sins, and will heal their land. Now mine eyes shall be open, and my ears attend unto the prayer that is made in this place. For now have I chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and mine eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And as for thee, this is the Lord talking to Solomon in his dream. And as for thee, if thou wilt walk before me, as David your father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded thee, and shall observe my statutes and my commandments, then will I establish the throne of thy kingdom according as I have covenanted with David your father, saying, there shall not fall thee a man to be ruler of Israel. Welcome into the live, everybody. I see Michael. Michael is here. Welcome into the live, my dear Michael. How are you doing, my love? So good to see you. Michael says, good morning, everybody. It's another magnificent day. Glory to God. For he had made it possible. Exactly. It's not we of ourselves. We didn't wake ourselves up, but whatever powers that be that woke us up, we are indebted to that energy that woke us up. Sister Lurleen is in the place. Sister Lurleen, how are you doing, my sweets? So good to see you. Welcome into the live. Thank you so much for coming. I sincerely appreciate you. Appreciate you all, my dears. All right, and read with me either with your your book Bible or your Google Bible. Read along with me, my friends, and make notes in your Bible as we read along, okay? So that you can always use it as reference. Because there's no point in following the teachings of a book that you have never read, a book that you don't know what's going on, what the book says. You just hear somebody say to you, this and that and the other is in the book, and you just follow blindly. It is not fair to yourself to do that to yourself. And for too long, we have been slighting ourselves in that regard, where we're just following blindly. Never read the book for ourselves. But if someone tells us that there's something in the Bible, we jump and we believe it, but we never actually read it for ourselves. It's about time we change that. Read it for yourself. Just like if somebody says to you, the Constitution says X, Y, and Z, but you have never seen it, you've never read it before. You just believe it. You are just a sheep following. Okay? And we don't want that to happen. All right, so let us continue. Michael is in the house. Let me see how long this has been playing. Michael is in the house. So on this device here, Michael, where is MTC Creative Kitchen? There is Michael. Michael gets some, let me see, Michael gets some watch hours on this device. Let's see. Nyamia belly full. I've run Nyamia belly full already. Let me see if everything has been run. Alright, we're gonna do this. How to prepare brown stew beef kidney with cooked green bananas and ripe plantains, Jamaican style. Alright. Alright, Michael, there you are. Michael is running right there. All right. Let us continue. Let us continue the reading. We are on, for those of you who are just coming, we are on the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 7 and verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. Now mine eyes shall be open and my ears attend unto the prayer that is made in this place. For now have I chosen and sanctified this house, that my name may be there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. Verse 17, and as for thee, if thou wilt walk before me, as David thy father walked, and do according to all that I have commanded thee, and shalt observe my statutes and my judgments, then will I establish the throne of thy kingdom, according as I have covenanted with David thy father, saying, there shall not fall thee a man to be ruler in Israel. But if he turn away and forsake my statutes and my commandments, which I have set before you, and shall go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I pluck them up by the roots out of my land, which I have given them, and this house, which I have sanctified for my name, will I cast out of my sight, and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all nations. All right, you hear that? So this is in Solomon's dream. The Lord has appeared to him and told him that, listen, if these people who are called by my name will hearken unto my voice, then I will be with them. I will dwell among them. And this house that I have ordained for you all to build for me, I am reigning in this house. But if these people disobey me, I will abandon even this house. I will pluck them up by their roots. That means he will destroy them. You know, people are not planted in the ground, so it's just a figurative speech. He's not going to pluck them out of the ground, but figuratively, he will remove them from his sight if they do not obey his word. And he said here in verse 20, he said, I will cast them out of my sight and will make it to be a proverb and a byword among all nations. You all know what that means. To make it a proverbs. You know, proverbs are educational phrases that come about because of experiences. So here the Bible is saying that if these people who are called by my name do not obey and do according to my word, I will pluck them up from here. I will cast them away. I will turn my back on them. I will abandon them. And even this building, even this tabernacle, I will abandon it. And that will serve as a lesson for future generations, that if you do not obey the word of the Lord, this is what will happen to you. And we see that even today, because even us, we were raised with a measure of fear when it comes to the Bible and the word of God. Say it ain't so, because it is. We were raised with a measure of fear. Do not question the Lord. Do not question the Bible. I remember when I was very young, I have been quite perceptive since I was young. I just since me get older now and full up my brain with all kind of foolishness that me not stay focused on stuff. But I remember being a child going to Sabbath school and asking about Adam. That was one of the first times I questioned the Bible, asking about Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, and how Cain killed Abel and went off to another land. and married somebody else. And I asked, where did those people come from? If Adam and Eve were the first people, they say Adam and Eve were made, they were the first people. God made them with his own hands in the Garden of Eden, and they were the only two people on the earth. That's what we are led to believe in the book of Genesis, that Adam and Eve were the two people God made in the Garden of Eden, and their son Cain killed his brother Abel, and then Cain went off to another land and married a woman from the other land. And I said to myself, I said when I read it, when I was taught this, I was maybe 10 years old. And I asked, where did those people come from? Those people that they say that Cain went out and married. Who made those people? And I was told then not to question the Bible, not to question God. So in essence, I was being conditioned to be a sheep, to just follow along. Just follow along, Trev. Don't ask any questions. And I guess it's because the person was conducting the Bible study at church didn't have the answer. So the best way to respond to a 10-year-old child is to say, do not question God. This is the Bible. This is the word of the Lord. Don't question him, because if you do, it could be considered blasphemy and you will be cursed for the rest of your life. And this dreaded fear sort of lived with me, like, why should I question the Bible? I shouldn't question. Even when the information doesn't make sense, I still have to read it. I still have to follow it. I shouldn't question. And so I never did. And then as I got older, I guess I got braver. I just decided that, you know what, it's worth reading. It's worth looking into. And so that's what has brought me even to this point where I can openly throw out that question to the world, because when you're on the internet, everybody's seeing you, everybody and anybody. And I have gotten to the point where I can bravely and openly throw out that question and not be afraid that I'm going to be struck by lightning or something like that, because that's how I felt after I asked that question in church at 10 years old. I felt like lightning was going to strike me at some point because I dared to ask that question. But anywho, with that being said, we are going to continue with the reading. Let us continue with the reading of 2 Chronicles chapter 21. And this house which is high shall be an astonishment to everyone that hath the Lord done. Hold on the people, that doesn't sound right. Verse 21, and this house which is high shall be an astonishment to everyone that passeth by it, so that he shall say, why hath the Lord done this unto this land and unto this house? Okay, so here the Lord is saying to Solomon that if the people do not do as he says, he is going to destroy the place, so that even in the future, when people pass by and look at this tabernacle that Solomon has built, they will say, what in the world has happened here? Why hath the Lord done this? Sort of teaching them a lesson, and that lesson is supposed to last throughout generation if they ever dared to not obey and trust him. And we know that religion is an activity that is based on fear. Is either you do it out of fear, or you don't do it and fear that something will be done to you for not doing it. The love and compassion. But anyway, verse 22. And it shall be answered, because they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore hath he brought all this evil upon them. That's the end of chapter 7 of the book of 2 Chronicles. We're going to move right along into chapter 8. Come along with me, my people. chapter 8 of the book of 2nd Chronicles. And it came to pass at the end of 20 years, wherein Solomon had built the house of the Lord and his own house, that the cities which Uram had restored to Solomon, Solomon built them and caused the children of Israel to dwell there. And Solomon went to Amath-zobah and prevailed against it. And he built Tadmor in the wilderness, and all the store cities which he built in Hamath. Also he built Beth-horon the upper, and Beth-horon the nether, fenced cities with walls, gates, and bars, and Baalath, and all the store cities that Solomon had, and all the chariot cities, and the cities of the horsemen, and all that Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and throughout all the land of his dominion. So here Solomon was on a building spree. He was building, he built the house of the Lord, he built his own houses, he built houses and churches and buildings, and he was just building out the entire land. I guess that was their version of progressiveness. I hate to say Solomon was a progressive king. That wouldn't be an understatement, because here he was doing a lot of building during his reign. I guess he was transforming the landscape and the lives of the people. Verse 7 says, as for all the people that were left of the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, which were not in Israel, but of their children who were left after them in the land, whom the children of Israel consumed not, them did Solomon make to pay tribute until this day. But of the children of Israel did Solomon make no servants for his work, but they were men of war, and chief of his captains, and captains of his chariots and horsemen. Okay, you wanna hear that, guys? So all the people around at that time that Solomon considered to be enemies, these people he considered to be the enemies, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, he considered them to be enemies. So those were the people he made to be servants, to serve him, to serve all his priestly supporters. Those were the people. But the children of Israel, the descendants of the children of Israel, he did not make them. He did not make them to be servants. That sounds like the same blueprint for slavery. Does that sound like the same blueprint for slavery, my friends? I guess it does, huh? Because the people who were enslaving the people that were not of them, the people that were not like them. So the white people enslaved the black people, but the white people got a pass. They didn't get the enslavement. And this is the same thing here in the Bible. No wonder they try to use the Bible to justify slavery, because there are so many similarities. Wouldn't you all agree with me? Whether you all agree or not, that's my opinion. Let us move right along. Verse 10. And these were the chief of King Solomon's office, even 250 that bear the rule over the people. And Solomon brought up the daughter of Pharaoh out of the city of David unto the house that he had built for her. Oh, I remember he had didn't he marry a daughter of Pharaoh? I believe one of his wives was a daughter of Pharaoh. Let's read that again. Verse 11. And Solomon brought up the daughter of Pharaoh, out of the city of David unto the house that he had built for her. For he said, My wife shall not dwell in the house of David, king of Israel, because the places are holy, whereunto the ark of the Lord hath come. Then Solomon offered burnt offerings unto the Lord on the altar of the Lord, which he had built before the porch, even after a certain rate every day, offering according to the commandments of Moses on the Sabbaths, and on the new moons, and on the solemn feasts, 3 times in a year, even in the feast of unleavened bread, and in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles. And he appointed, according to the order of David his father, the courses of the priests to their service, and the Levites to their charges, to praise and minister before the priests, as the duty of every day required. The porters also by their courses at every gate, for so had David the man of God commanded. And they departed not from the commandment of the king unto the priests, the Levites, concerning any matter, or concerning the treasures. Now all the work of Solomon was prepared unto the day of the foundation of the house of the Lord, and until it was finished. So the house of the Lord was perfected. Verse 17, Then went Solomon to Ezion-Geber, and to Eloth, at the seaside in the land of Edom. And Huram sent him by the hands of his servants' ships, and servants that had knowledge of the sea, and they went with the servants of Solomon to Ophir, and took thence 450 talents of gold, and brought them to King Solomon. So all of Solomon reign, Solomon been collecting riches. Oh, Michael says his third daughter graduation today. Hey, congrats to her, Michael. There you go. You get Daddy of the Year, Michael. There you go. There you go. Boy, I don't know. There's just something so attractive about daddies being there for their daughters. It's just something to me. Maybe it's because I never had it, because my dad's been dead for 40-something years. I never had that grand opportunity. For all that I remembered of my dad, it was all love and kindness, and I knew my dad would have steered me straight had he been alive. But I don't know, maybe that's why I'm not so into being with anybody, because that kind of relationship, a man in the home, I never experienced it really. So I guess that's why I admire it so much. But when I see a man being there for his daughters, making sure that they're safe and educated and fed and taken care of, it just warms my heart. I just think it's a great thing. So congrats, Michael. Congrats to you, my dear. And thank you for being one good stand-up black man. Yeah? Because a lot of our boys out there running from their responsibilities, leaving their daughters for other men to raise them, for other men to abuse them, running away and doing their own thing after going after skirt after skirt after skirt, and not being there for their daughters. So kudos to you, Michael. Bless up your nice clean self. All right? And we're going to take a drink to that. It don't matter that I'm reading the Bible. We can still take a drink. So welcome into the live, guys. To those who are silent listeners, those who remain in the bushes, looking on, listening on. It's my pleasure reading for you more than anybody else, because I'm sure that there is something about me coming here every morning and reading that that is attractive to you, why you come every morning and sit in the bushes and listen. And so I do this not just for me and those who comment in the chat, but for you also. All right, that is the end of chapter 8 of the book of Second Chronicles, and we are going to continue with the reading this morning. So we are on to the book of Second Chronicles chapter 9. I hope you all are following me in your book Bible or your Google Bible, because I don't want you all to say, it's Trev says so. It's Trev says so, because I know me say nothing. When you all hear my opinion, you all hear my opinion. But most of what you're going to hear from my reading is straight from the Bible. All right, let us continue. And when the king of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon, she came to prove Solomon with hard questions at Jerusalem, with a very great company and camels that bear spices and gold in abundance and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him all that was in her heart. All right, so the queen of Sheba, when she hear how Solomon is reigning in Israel, how Solomon has taken over, how his reign has expanded. He's building all these buildings. He has built the house of the Lord. He has built himself a house. He is the king. No question about it. He is the king. When she heard about that, she came forth to see him, to meet with him for herself, and she brings lots of spices and gold, etc., etc., for Solomon. Let us continue. Verse 2 says, and Solomon told her all her questions, and there was nothing hidden from Solomon which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen the wisdom of Solomon, and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministries, and their apparel, his cupbearers also, and their apparel, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. And she said to the king, it was a true report which I heard in my own land of thine acts and of thy wisdom. So the queen of Sheba come to test out Solomon, to find out if everything that she heard about him is true. And when she came to him, he could tell her exactly why she had come. He knew even before she could tell him. He knew what was going on in her heart. And after he had told it to her, and after he had told to her what was in her heart before she could tell him, she concluded that, wow, yeah, Solomon is wise. Solomon is great. After all, he's a very, very wise man. He knows a lot. She looked at the people around him and how they were well dressed, because remember, he had used those fine linen to make the clothes for his cupbearers, and his servants were well dressed, and they had all this decoration on their clothes, and they really looked all priestly, looking really, really nice. So she was really admiring the beauty of what Solomon was doing. Lurleen says, they said, of course, yes, he was the wisest, it seems, until now. Until now, my dear sister. Let us continue. Verse 5. And she said to the king, it was a true report which I heard in my own land of thine acts and thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not their words, until I came, and mine eyes had seen it. And behold, the one half of the greatness of thy wisdom was not told to me, for thou exceedest the fame that I heard. Happy are thy men, and happy are these thy servants, which stand continually before thee, and hear thy wisdom. Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighteth in thee, to set thee on his throne, to be king for the Lord thy God. Because thy God loved Israel, to establish them forever, therefore made he thee king over them, to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king, like, see what the Queen of Sheba gave to Solomon. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices great abundance, and precious stones. Neither was there any such spice as the Queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the servants also of Huram, and the servants of Solomon, which brought gold from Ophir, brought algum trees and precious stones. And the king made of the algum trees terraces to the house of the Lord, and to the king's palace, and harps, and psalteries for singers, and there were none such seen before in the land of Judah. And King Solomon gave to the Queen of Sheba all her desire, whatsoever it was that she asked him for, beside that which she had brought unto the king. So she turned and went away to her own land, she and her servants. So they sort of exchanged gifts there. She brought a lot of gifts to Solomon, and Solomon gave her a lot of gifts in return to take back to her land. All right. AG is in the place. AG, bless up your nice clean self. AG, how you doing this morning, my AG? You coming to the place early, AG? AG, what's up? How are you doing, my dear? How are you doing? I hope you're having a great morning. As for me, I am doing well. Yeah. I'm up this morning reading, and then I'm gonna get some stuff done. Yeah, I think I'm gonna see if I do 2 videos to put up on the channel. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Verse 13. Verse 13. Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents. You know what is something that I noticed? There's a lot of mention of 666 in the Bible. Have you all noticed? There is a lot of mentions of 666 in the Bible. And I wonder if it is to that end that we have also been taught about the 666 mark of the beast. We haven't come across the literature in the Bible about that 666 as being mark of the beast yet. But I am wondering, just throwing my thought out there since it crossed my mind just now. But anyway, we're going to continue reading, because if we should continue to believe all that we have been believing in the Bible so far, the Bible will give us an explanation for that 666. All right. So here, it might be a good way to remember how many talents of gold that was brought to Solomon in a year. Verse 13 of chapter 2 of chapter 9 of the book of 2 Chronicles says, Now the weight of gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 666 talents of gold, beside that which chapmen and merchants brought, and all the kings of Arabia and governors of the country brought gold and silver to Solomon. And King Solomon made 200 targets of beaten gold. 600 shekels of beaten gold went to one target. And 300 shields made he of beaten gold, and 300 shekels of gold went to one shield. And the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with pure gold. And there were 6 steps to the throne. There were 6 steps to the throne, with a footstool of gold, which were fastened to the throne, and stays on each side of the sitting place, and 2 lions standing by the stays. And 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not the like made in any kingdom. So nowhere at all in Jerusalem or anywhere else could you go and see the elaborate craftsmanship and the elaborate work are I would say agriculture, but that's not what I meant. I meant the structural genius of these people. Nowhere else did you go and see such finely crafted structures as Solomon had built. Because remember in previous chapters we read where he got the best craftsmen from Syria and Lebanon and Damascus and the world over. He got the best craftsmen to work on these buildings that he was putting up. And so they were considered to be most magnificent. Joseph is in the house. Joseph, what's up? Joseph, you know, say me go to bed with you at night time and wake up with you at morning time. That's not such a bad thing, hey? That's not a bad thing at all, Jojo. Let us continue. Verse 20. And all the drinking vessels of King Solomon were of gold. And all the vessels of the house of the forests of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. It was not anything accounted of in the days of Solomon. For the king's ships went to Tarshish with the servants of Uram. Every 3 years once came the ships of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. Oh wow! I wonder what they did with. I know the ivory. They got the ivory from the tusked animals. Yeah, but the apes and the peacocks. I know the peacocks are dainty animals. You see, I have a pair of peacocks here. I love them. They are made out of metal. They look so regal. They look so dainty. I'd see me using one of them right there. And it makes my screen page look beautiful. I like it. And just put little flowers around it. I like it. I like it. So I hear they're talking about the people bringing peacocks and apes and ivory and silver and gold to Solomon every 3 years. I know what Solomon is using the apes for. Maybe he's just I don't know. What is he doing with the apes? He probably has the peacocks running around. He may be eating them as well. But we don't know, so we're not going to speculate. We're going to keep on reading until we either discover it or not. I saw it go right there, so. Right there, so Jojo. I agree with you. Just like that. Joseph late for class. As always. I'm going to put him at the back bench. Don't worry yourself. Verse 22, guys. Let us continue. And King Solomon passed all the kings of the earth in riches and wisdom. And all the kings of the earth sought the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom that God had put in his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver and vessels of gold, and raiment, harness and spices, horses and mules, a rate year by year. And Solomon had 4,000. Want to hear that? Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots. Mighty God. Not even the Queen of England are rich like Solomon. 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen, whom he bestowed in the chariot cities, and with the king of Jerusalem. Wow. And he reigned over all the kings from the river even unto the land of the Philistines and to the border of Egypt. And the king made silver in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar trees made he as the sycamore trees that are in the low plains in abundance. So I guess he was because sycamore trees were considered to be very valuable. sycamore, cedar, algum, those were considered to, and fir were considered to be very valuable trees. So during Solomon's reign, he imported a lot of these trees into Jerusalem, into the areas where he was king over, so as to enrich the area. Verse 28, and they brought unto Solomon horses out of Egypt, and out of all lands. Now the rest of the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not written in the book of Nathan? You hear they come back talking about the book of Nathan? So all of Solomon's, OMG, so all of Solomon's, all that happened during Solomon's reign is written in the book of Nathan. Here we see that again. So we really have to read that book of Nathan, people. We really have to. All the acts of Solomon, first and last, are they not written in the book of Nathan the prophet? And in the prophecy of Ahijah the Shilonite? Oh Lord, so in the prophecy of Ahijah as well. And in the visions of Iddo the seer against Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Okay, so I guess if we read these three books, the book of Nathan, the prophecy of Ahijah, and in the visions of Iddo, we should hear about Solomon. And Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel for 40 years. Solomon reigned 40 years. And Solomon slept with his fathers, and he was buried in the city of David his father, and Rehoboam his son reigned in his stead. Okay. 1 Kings 4 verse 26 says that Solomon had stalls of horses. 1 Kings 4 verse 26 says that Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses. But 2 Chronicles say that Solomon had 4,000. Oh my gosh. God, I don't know what I would have do with you. I don't know. Me have to go clone you. Trust me. Me have to go clone you. Because, wow, you are the best. You're the best student in the place. Trust me. 1 Kings 4 and verse 26, God says, it said that Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses. So let's go back to 1 Kings 4 and verse 26. Then I can't find that so fast. 1 Kings 4 and verse 26. 1 Kings 4 and verse 23. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. All right. Solomon had 40,000. And now over here it says, verse 30 of 2 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse 30. Hold on. Verse 25. Okay, verse 25, chapter 9, 2 Chronicles chapter 9 and verse 25. And Solomon had 4,000 stalls for horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. Another discrepancy there. Another discrepancy. Not so much as to affect the reading, but the discrepancy nonetheless is a discrepancy. Okay. Let me just dock that there. Was it 40 or was it 4,000? Which was it? I guess we will read the book of Nathan we'll read the book of Nathan and we will try to figure out which is true. Was it 4,000 or 40,000? Boy, God, how you catch that so fast? Because me never did catch it. Let me read a little bit more of this First Kings chapter 4. Let's see what else was there. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses for his chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers provided victual for King Solomon, and for all that came unto King Solomon's table. Every man in his month they lacked nothing. Okay. That's interesting. Second Chronicles is describing what happened in Second Kings. Yes, and remember that in the Kings, as we were reading in the Kings, it told us that the explanations will be found in the Chronicles. Just like here in the Chronicles, he's saying if you want to learn more about Solomon and his life from the beginning to the end, you have got to read the book of Nathan. But we know the book of Nathan was excluded from this Bible that we read. The book of Nathan was excluded. So we'd have to go search to find the book of Nathan. It is also written in the prophecy of Ahijah. Ahijah has written a book as well. And it is also written in the visions of Iddo. So here, lots and lots of people, I can imagine lots of people giving their account of the reign of Solomon, because after all, when you have such a great king, it's like the queen. You're going to find lots of people writing about the queen, if they had visited her, writing about their experience, if they have ever met her, writing about it. And so in years to come, when you are studying, when people are studying about the queen, there will be different accounts based on whose version you have read. Just like with Obama. They say Obama was the first black president of the United States. Well, in the years to come, even now on the shelves, there are numerous books about Obama, about his presidency, about his life growing up. And if you read all these books, none is exactly the same as another. They are not the same. It's different people giving their account. So you have to pick and choose what to believe. Because unless you hear it from Obama's mouth himself, a lot of what people are writing and saying and talking is just gibberish. Just stuff that they have come up with for one reason or the other. And there is my dear sister Petrina. Trina, what's up? How you doing, my lovely love? I'm going to say afternoon for you now over there. Yeah? How you been, my sweets? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, guys. So with that with us having sorted that out, we are going to continue the reading. We are going to read on to chapter 10 of the book of Second Chronicles. So for those of you who have been following me in your book Bible or your Google Bible, I want to say thank you so much. Thanks to everybody who has come into the live. I sincerely appreciate it. Guys, me notice when you come in the live, you are not hitting the like button. I'm not sure what the like button do. You just hit the like button, please. Me have a beg on you, so. Jesus. Me beg on you till my mouth dry. You know, I be on the live with you at 2 hours. I want to come off of the live 5, like 6. I'm like, what wrong with them people here, man? But anywho, we still gonna do what we gonna do, regardless of whether or not you hit the like button. Let us continue. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for to Shechem were all Israel come to make him king. Now Rehoboam was Solomon's son. Don't forget that. Was the son to whom Solomon bequeathed his throne. All right. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for to Shechem were all Israel come to make him king. That means it is in Shechem that they all gathered. They all gathered there to crown Rehoboam king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam, you remember Jeroboam? between him and Rehoboam. There was conflict, and Jeroboam had divided the kingdom of Israel by having declared himself king and recruiting a lot of the people who were loyal to David to come follow him. Remember? All right. Just a catch up on the memory there a little bit. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was in Egypt, whither he had fled from the presence of Solomon the king, heard it, that Jeroboam returned out of Egypt. So when Jeroboam heard that Solomon had died and Rehoboam was being made king, he decided that he was coming out of exile. Because remember, Solomon had exiled him into Egypt. He had to run away from Jerusalem to go to Egypt. But now that Solomon had died, he decides that he is coming back. And they sent and called him. So Jeroboam and all Israel came and spake to Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore ease thou somewhat the previous servitude of thy father, and his heavy yoke that he put upon us, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them, Come again unto me after 3 days. And the people departed. All right, let me explain what I understand from there. So Solomon had cast out Jeroboam, sent him into exile basically. So he was exiled in Egypt. When Solomon died and his son Rehoboam took over the kingdom, Jeroboam got news of it. So he came up to meet with Rehoboam to say, listen, your father had exiled us, your father put a heavy yoke on us. We're asking you to ease it up. Just lift up the yoke off of us that your father has put on us. And Rehoboam tell them, come back in 3 days and I will give you the answer. I can't give you the answer right now, but come back in 3 days and I will tell you what I think and whether or not I will ease the yoke that my father has put upon you. And King Rehoboam took counsel with the old men that had stood before Solomon his father while he was still alive, saying, What counsel do you all give me to return answer to these people? And they spake unto him, saying, If thou be kind to this people, and please them, and speak good words to them, they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel which the old men gave him, and took counsel from the young men that were brought up with him, and that stood before him. See, our different generation different generation. You know how, as we have been reading in the Bible, how the opinions of the elders are valued greatly above the opinions of the youngsters, because the older people are ripe with wisdom. They are ripe with experiences that they can share with the young people. Young people now have no experience. You understand? They are unfulfilled already. So the opinions that they are going to give you and the directions that they are going to give you, the instructions that they are going to give you, is not usually leading you in the right path. No. But the wisdom of the elders based on experience can tell you what might happen if you do X. What might happen if you do Y. Young people don't have them experience. But here is Rehoboam. Instead of following tradition and following a sense of reason and listening to the directions that the old people are giving to him gonna take advice from the people who young like him. And young bud no know storm. Let us continue reading. And he said unto them, What advice do you give me, that I may return the answer to these people, which have spoken to me, saying, Ease somewhat the yoke that your father did put upon us? And the young men that were brought up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou answer the people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou our yoke lighter for us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. Lord Jesus, help my soul. You know, see where the young people thinking? You see where the minds of the young people gone? Thinking that, oh Jesus, your little finger shall be thicker than your father's loins. You all know what that means, right? That goes without saying. I don't need to say what that means. Let's read verse 10 again. And the young men that were brought up with him, that him is Rehoboam, and the young men that were brought up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou answer to the people that speak unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it somewhat lighter for us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. So him said to them, basically, if that was what your father gave you, that was what my father, this is Rehoboam. They are telling Rehoboam to tell the people that if that what my father give you was thick, consider my little finger to be thicker. That means I will do worse than my father. Even in the smallest deed, I will do worse than my father. Verse 11. For whereas my father put a heavy yoke upon you, I will put more to your yoke. My father chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. You see? You see? So the elders told him to be kind to these people, be nice to these people, and they will serve him forever. The young people tell him, tell them, say, if them things that them get nothing yet from your father, you will give them worse than your father give them. My God. Verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Jeroboam on the third day. Now remember, he told them to come back in 3 days. So now they are here back to him in 3 days. As the king bade them come again in 3 days. And the king answered them roughly. And King Rehoboam forsook the counsel of the old men. Yeah? Him forsake the counsel of the old men. And him take the counsel from the young people. And answered them after the advice of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, but I will add on to that. My father chastised you with whips, I will chastise you with scorpions. So the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was of God, that the Lord might perform his word, which he spake by the hand of Ahijah the Shilonite, to Jeroboam the son of Nebat. Now Ahijah was a prophet. Remember, Ahijah was a prophet. In the book of 1 Kings, I believe, we read about Ahijah the Shilonite, who Jeroboam had consulted, and Ahijah told him that he was going to be king. Now, with the ascension of Jeroboam being declared king, that starts the divide of the kingdom of Jerusalem. Because remember, David were able to gather the people together. Solomon on a grander scale was able to gather all the people together to serve him as king. And now with Jeroboam, Ahijah had said that Jeroboam was going to be king. And we are coming up to that point now. We have read about it before in the Kings, but we are coming up on it now in the Second Chronicles, where Jeroboam is declared king, and he starts the divide because he takes a lot of people with him. A lot of people are not in agreement with the way Rehoboam is running the kingdom, because Rehoboam is not taking advice from the elders. He's taking advice from the young ones, and the young ones don't know nothing. And the people are not happy with that. So here we have, this is like now a political divide in Jerusalem is coming about. Let us continue reading. Verse 16. And when all Israel saw that the king would not hearken unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? And we have none inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to your tents, O Israel. And now, David, see to thine own house. So all Israel went to their tents. But as for the children of Israel that dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, that was over the tribute, and the children of Israel stoned him with stones. What? Then King Rehoboam sent Hadoram, that was over the tribute, and the children of Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. But King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. And Israel rebelled against the house of David until this day. Let us read that again. I tell you, my friends, I tell you, the children of Israel are at this point very angry with Rehoboam, because they don't think that Rehoboam is not following the rules. He's sort of changing the rules. He is upsetting the order of things in the kingdom that his father Solomon has left for him. He is doing things his own way. It's sort of like the ancient wokeism, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's the ancient wokeism, where Rehoboam has inherited the kingdom from his father Solomon, and he now, them doing things one way. We are young people, we are going to do it our way. So my father would take advice from the elders, and everybody else takes advice from the elders. Me not take no advice from the elders. Don't you all see that happening now, guys? In this quote-unquote wokeism foolishness, I don't even know what is it. What it is. All it is doing is disrupting the order of our lives. Coming in with a new world order, I guess. So I guess this is what Rehoboam was endorsing back then. The elders tell him, make friends with the people, be nice to the people, they will serve you forever. And the young people said to him, make it worse for them. And he goes with that option to make life more difficult for the people. I tell you. Let us read. We have finished reading the book, chapter 10, but let us read chapter 10, verse 17 again. But as for the children of Israel that dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Okay, so those that dwelt in Judah, Rehoboam was over them. But by this time, the others, after having heard what Rehoboam said to Jeroboam and the people who had come to him, they no longer have faith in him. So a lot of them left and they're gone. They have forsaken the kingdom. They're gone about their business. They don't want to have nothing to do with Rehoboam anymore. So what does Rehoboam do? He sent Adoram. I guess, to go talk to the people. He was over the tribute, so he sent him to go talk to the people. And the people were so mad. They fling rock stone upon him. They stoned him to death. But King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. And Israel rebelled against the house of David until this day. So the conflict continues, my friends. The conflict continues. Why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't the conflict continue when here is the beginning of the divide of the house of David? Some people continue to believe in the house of David that is now being ruled by Rehoboam, David's grandson, but others no longer have faith. Do we see that happening today? Yeah. Houses are being divided. People who go to church, who have a particular belief system with which they have been raised, we see where all of that is being struck down. When I was growing up, and many of us here we are all about the same age, when we were growing up, we had devotions in school. Every single morning there was the devotion. There was never any indoctrination, because there was nobody at school saying to you, you need to be a Baptist, a Methodist, an Adventist, or whatever. There was none of that. All we did, we went in the morning, we sing, somebody pray, we said the national anthem, said the national pledge, and then we went on with our day. Then they came around and they said, no Bible in the schools, no mentioning of God, no devotions, no singing, no worshiping, no nothing, because there are children in the schools who are not of the Christian faith, and those children are being offended. So to include everybody, they will have no devotion. When what they could do is make sure that everybody has their own devotion. So if there are 10 Muslims in the school, you say, okay, the 10 Muslims are going to meet at, this is a time that is for devotion, for everybody to connect with whatever God they serve. So if you are Muslim, you go here. If you are Christian, you go here. If whatever you are, different spaces are made for different people. That's how I would think it would go. And everybody gets the same time. So you say from 8 to 8:20, everybody, this is your time to connect with whichever deity you revere. But instead they say, no God in the school. We don't want to hear no prayer. We don't want a Bible. We don't want nothing. All right? We see the children. We see the effects of that. The pit of them not have no law, no order, no nothing. People are saying them not need God. And as much as I want to sympathize with people when I say, oh, we don't need no God. We don't need no God. We don't want to hear nothing from God. What God have to say. What is your better alternative? What is your better alternative? Because for those of us who sort of endorse a little bit of agnosticism, neither go here nor there, we're right in the middle. You look at the options. If you go to this end of the spectrum where it is all chaos, no law, no order, no prayer, no God, no Bible, no rule, nothing. If you go to that end of the spectrum and you examine the events over on that end and the outcomes over there, would you rather over there in chaos as opposed to being over here on the side where there is law and order and peace and love? I don't get it. So when I hear people talking about they don't need God and the material Bible and they carry on with them foolishness, I say to them, give me the alternative. that is better. If you want to win me over, give me the alternative that is better. And then we can have a conversation. If you cannot give me an alternative that is better, don't say a word. Because what you are bringing essentially is chaos. And we don't want no chaos over here. We don't function in a chaos. We see right now where society has become so chaotic. The people in them that have no direction. And this is the same thing that we just read about in the Chronicles here, where it says that the word will serve as a proverb to generations. We have been living by those proverbs all our life. You say, if you can't catch quack, you're catching shot. If you not hear, you will feel. Hard is picking yam rock stone. You understand? We have been living by those proverbs all of our lives. They have served us well, and we have been able to pass this down to our children, our children's children. Now, this new generation, they're going to pass down this chaos to their children and their children's children. So can you all now foresee what the world is going to be like 50 years from now? Just imagine what it is going to be like. I won't be here to see it. But it is going to be quite chaotic because these people now have no law, no order. The things that they are endorsing have absolutely nothing to do with conscious thought. It's just wishy-washy and just drag. They themselves can't explain to you the nonsense that they're spewing. I don't know what I mean without me spelling it out. They themselves cannot explain it to you. And why they cannot explain it to you is because it is gibberish, because it is nonsense, because it does not align with reality. It does not align with nature. It does not align with the life that we are taught to live. And not just taught, but proven. But proven, because somebody can teach you something, and you can learn it, and you can do it. But until you have proven it to be a good thing to do, you are just doing it, you're just following like a sheep. You're just doing it because you were told to do it. But not because you have proven the good in it. But for us, we have proven the good in our ways. And if you have proven the good in your ways, why you have to change it? Why would you opt out of goodness to endorse chaos? Who does that? Who does that? And we see right now where the world is descending into absolute chaos. There are so many people with irrational thoughts. They remind me of, when you study the psychology of people, and you study things like schizophrenia, and they tell you that when you have a patient and the patient is making unrealistic statements, how you should go along, just to ensure that, because it is their reality, you go along just to maintain their comfort. Now, it seems like this is taken out of the medical realm and is now being dispersed among people, making us all seem schizophrenic. They're trying to make us all schizophrenic, to believe a reality that is not real, to endorse a made-up reality. You have your schizophrenic patient, and your schizophrenic patient say, I was talking to John this morning, and John told me that this is not a knee. This is not my knee right here. This is my elbow. And so this is my elbow. And you as the nurse come in and you say, okay, let me see the wound that you have on your elbow. And the patient give you his knee and say that is his elbow. You just clean the knee, do whatever you are doing, and just say, okay, I finished fixing up your elbow. And the patient is nice, calm, and comfortable and go about their business. No chaos. Because if you try to convince them that that their knee is actually their knee and not their elbow, you will never get anywhere. Because you will end up with them start throwing a fit to say, why are you telling them that their knee is a knee when to them it is an elbow? You just play along and keep it moving to maintain peace. And today we see where that has come out of its medical relevance. And now it has permeated the whole society, where if you say you are a dog, I must call you a dog. So now the whole of it is schizophrenic. Anywho, let us take our nice selves and go have enjoy the rest of our day. Why did my live, guys? I don't know, so I don't see no let me see what you mean. Say you're not gonna live to see 100. God, what me I do I live to see 100? Oh my gosh, me not think so, sister. Me not think so. If I do, it would be nice, and providing I do with good health or whatever. But however long me live. I'm not the one who's going to make myself neither live nor die. So, but me don't think me gonna live to see 100. Not at all. Not at all. I don't think so. But anyway, guys, yeah. So that is where I'm going to end the reading of the Bible for today, and my little commentary that follows. When we come back later, I still need to where is Andrea? I still need to finish reading the book Grace Under Fire. So once I close off this live, I am going to be reading Grace Under Fire, because we need to finish reading this before the week is over. All right, guys. So that is going to be the end of the reading for this morning. Join me again tomorrow. Join me again tomorrow morning when we will continue on our quest to read the Bible. We will be reading 2 Chronicles chapter 11 onwards. About 11 through to 14 maybe. Yeah, so when we come back tomorrow, we will continue with the reading of the Bible. Once again, I want to say thanks to you all for coming into the live. Thanks to those of you who cared to comment in the live. I want to say thank you very, very much. And for those of you who stayed in the bushes, I want to say thank you as well for coming and listening. I hope that you are learning as much as we are learning in the Bible. We are on our way, and we are almost halfway through the Bible, and maybe by next year this time we should be finished reading the Bible, and then we will be able to go it over. But that's a different story for a different time. Come back here tomorrow morning at around this same time, around 6 o'clock or so. I notice when I come in the live early in the morning, I don't see you all. When I come in at 4, I don't see you all. But anywho, and I love the interaction when I'm reading and there are people in the chat. When I come on at 4 o'clock in the morning, I don't see nobody. I just read and go about my business. But anyway, I want to say thanks to you all, guys. Thank you all so much for coming. I sincerely enjoy your company, and I hope you all enjoy the reading as much as I enjoyed bringing it to you. Until next time, my friends, this is Trev from Treversence, where your journey matters. Now, have yourselves a great day. Everybody, we will talk later. All right? Good day, guys.